So this is Greg Gerhard with Acela Biomedical. Today we're going to go through a little lesson about processing, stripping, bucking, shucking, however you want to term it. I'm probably going to refer to it as stripping our crop once it's cured in the barn. A couple of things I want to start with as to figuring out when your crop is ready to strip. You can visually inspect the plant. As you can see, there's still a lot of green stem in this plant. This plant was harvested, I believe, the 22nd of October, so it quite hasn't even been in the barn for 2 weeks yet. And last week we had some cooler, damp weather, which slowed curing down. As you see, when the stalk starts curing out, the whole plant cures. We'll lose color in these stems, changing from a green type color to probably more of a little brownish looking color like you're seeing in this plant. This one's not cured out all the way. You still see some green in the bottom of it, but for educational purposes, we're stripping some of this on out so that we can prepare you how to prepare this crop. That being said, of course, I've cut all these little branches off of this plant already. This is one of my smaller plants. As you can see, if you were to just try to strip this, you'd be flopping it around, and you see everything that falls off of it the more you flop it. So what I'm going to do is break this plant down to where I can handle it either by hand or with a bucking machine, stripping machine, or aid. What I'm going to use today is not a machine, it's just a board I'll pull through. So what I'll do is take these big long stems, trim them up so far to where I can handle them, and just stage them in a pile. I plan to have probably a couple guys in the barn just doing this all day for the people in the room that's going to be stripping. They will probably put them into a basket, some kind of rolling basket, and transport them into the room where we strip, and they'll be put beside a platform where the people will just pull these branches out of the platform and run it through the bucking plate, is what they call it, stripping plate. So it's a little time consuming, but to get good all your material off the plant, I think this is going to be a more effective way to do it rather than just flop it and do this plant around, because as you see, there's a whole lot of little branches in here. So I'm just taking these big long single ones, trying to clip them off. Then when I get to the smaller ones, I'll just clip the whole thing off. And this is easy to handle. This variety is stout. Every variety grows a little different. The stout have longer buds, small, longer buds, with less plant mass here in between. I've already pre-cut a Biomass plant. And I'll show you the difference in the setup of the plant here in a second. Got rid of on my Biomass plant. As you see, that was a much bigger plant, and to strip it you would have to flop it around all over the place. And I believe my prep time will save that time, and then I just take these and strip them off. Couple different ways we have to analyze our crop. We need to be very concerned with moisture on what we're stripping. I purchased this yesterday during lunchtime at Lowe's. It's a General MMD 4E. It's a moisture tester for building supplies is what it is. You turn it on, it has where you can test the moisture of wood, or you can hit the mode button and it'll test building supplies such as drywall, insulation, which is what I kind of equate back to what we're going to be testing here. I've checked this against our hay moisture probe that we've been using up here, and it is accurate. So as you see, it just has two little pins. You grab it in the barn, in the stripping room. I would check it in the barn. Just grab a bud. This should be really, really dry because it's been up here for about a week. Insert it in there. And this is about 4.5–5% moisture in this crop. Optimal stripping is going to occur around 10–12%, where you've got enough moisture in your bud where your bud's not crumbling upon stripping it, but yet your leaf material, if you decide to de-leaf, is dry enough where you can do so. Like I said, you can pick these up at Lowe's. I think this cost me $36 and maybe some tax. Very affordable for a farmer to keep in his stripping room, where he can go out and check his barns to make sure he's not taking it down too high moisture where he's going to have mold or mildew problems in his crop once he brings it in storage. Comes in a little nice container, fits real nice in your back pocket, doesn't fall out, fits in there real good. It will pick up in and out of case, even though, like I said, the plant's not completely cured yet, just depending on the weather. So we have several different types of crops this time in our area. We have crops that had very heavy bud, a lot of leaf. We had crops that were somewhat in between, decent buds, a little bit less leaf. Then we had some of the crops that struggled with the dry weather, drought, not a drought tolerant variety, that the buds are smaller and there's not much leaf material on it when you bring it into the barn. They will look, the lower end crops, as far as the leaf, is going to look like this. I've already de-leafed a little bit of this when it was just hanging. This plant all looked like this when I started. See all the leaf material on it. The leaf material will change your CBD and THC percentages dramatically. So according to your needs, if you've got a crop that is very healthy, you're probably going to want to concentrate more on THC control rather than getting your CBD up. If you're a crop that has struggled this year and a little bit on the drought hit side, you're probably going to be only concerned with bringing your CBD percentage up. If you have a crop that has struggled and has been a concern for you throughout the year, you will probably want to try to de-leaf your whole entire crop. This crop here was pretty healthy throughout. My CBD levels are good. My THC levels are good. I probably will not de-leaf my crop. I'll just strip it straight out. But if you were going to de-leaf it, you want to actually get it coming back out of case. Let it go into case and come back out. Have it where the moisture of the buds are about 12%. And when you do that, this leaf material is probably going to be down to 2 or 3% moisture. So this is a little on the dry side. I'm going to crumble a little bit of the bud doing this, but if you got the right case, you won't. You'll just crush leaf. But you just really quickly hold it by the end and just squeeze that plant down through there just to get a lot of the leaf material off. So that would be a quick de-leaf. As you see, it's dry, so it broke apart. Then after you get this, you'll get your tote and strip that material into your tote. You can do it by hand, by machine, which I'll show in a little bit. Like I said, I'm not de-leafing this, so it doesn't matter if they both get contaminated back together, because that's how I'm going to strip my crop, is just all in one container. Because I've got pretty good CBD percentages. And so as you can see, this is, I put it on the table where you could get a little visual what actually we're doing. This is just quickly de-leafed. So this is your leaf material that you pulled off. It will bring your CBD up or down according to in or out of your crop. A good gauge on how you should strip your crop If your crop is averaging under a pound a plant, it's been a stress crop. You're probably low on CBD percentages and want to try to de-leaf as much as you can. If your crop is above a pound, you had a normal healthy crop, you'll probably just want to strip everything into one tote. Leaf material and the bud material. And may even, on the best case scenarios of crops that are really, really healthy, take the top terminal bud out of your plant and just set it to the side and put it in a separate tote itself, because that's going to be your highest concentrate of CBD and THC. What we're trying to accomplish is an overall crop that's at a level that is marketable to Andrew and Acela as a company, whether we extract or sell biomass, whatever the case be. It's the most attractive product we can put. In an ideal world, and we could just tell you and you bring it in, it would be 10% or better CBD, and because we're moving biomass, it has to comply with federal guidelines, which the THC limit is 0.3. That's why it's very, very important for guys that have healthy crops not just to try to run up. We don't want something that's going to be 20% and 0.8 on THC. When you allowable stalk would be this little bitty stalk which is within the main bud is allowable. See, there is a little bit of stem inside this bud, but this is good stripping. What we don't want would be that. We do not want that in this. If some of these break off, these little ones, we're not going to be nitpicky about that. But this big stalk here doesn't grind, and we have to grind everything we extract. So it doesn't work very well. So that's as far as I'm going to go with the breakdown of a plant if you choose to go that way. I do know some people have developed systems where they hang the plants on the stripping bench up here. They're upside down. They've got some kind of container they stand over top of, whether it be just the bag itself with some edges on it to catch everything, and they just sit there and pull it like this until they clean the plant. I'm probably going to go about it this way. I think it's going to be cleaner, easier for me, easier to manage these rather than a bunch of great big old bushy tumbleweed plants. I can bundle these up and keep them in a bin just in case something comes along and we find a use for them. Now I'm going to move to the stripping plate or bucking plate, and I've got some Biomass pre-cut. I'll show you that plant. It's a little different than the stout that we have here. This crop will be one I probably will not have to de-leaf either. So I am going to do a little bit of de-leafing of it so that I can climb it real high and do some test blending up here at our facility so that I know what I compare what with. But as of right now, I don't plan to de-leaf it at all, just strip it straight into a material. This is the stripping plate I was talking about. It is just mounted to this table here with 5 drywall screws just plated in. This is the Biomass that I pre-cut. You just find the groove appropriate with the size of your plant and pull it through. Pretty simple, clean. You could run your hand over it one more time after you do it, but it pretty well cleaned it. Pretty good. Of course, this is dry material. The drier it is, the easier it pulls off. A little bit too on the dry side. 5% is a little too dry. It goes through pretty quick. So it's pretty fast. Faster than I can do it by hand. And your material is pretty clean. Like I said, this is a mix. This is actually what we call biomass, is the leaf material and then you have your bud material. That's what's called biomass. If it was only the bud material, we would probably term it floral material because it's a flower. Leaf is not considered a flower. It's just part of the biomass of the plant. It's not going to take that long. It goes through pretty quick. The system I plan on having is, because you see how the leaf material just went all over the table. I plan on making like a slide out of real thin Teflon type material that has a little bit of sideboards with this plate mounted in between. I'll have a basket of my pre-cut material. The guys out in the barn are putting in a basket right beside me, and I'll just be reaching in all day long and stripping. I'll probably have a container behind me to put these in behind on the floor, and that's pretty well how I plan to tackle this. The slide will have a container to dump it to at the end. When my container gets pretty full, I'll pick it up, I'll take it over to my tote designated for that variety and dump it into that tote. We want to keep all varieties separated. It doesn't matter if you only had 200 reset plants of cherry and it doesn't fill a tote, that's fine. Put all your cherry in one tote, label it, bring it up to us. The blending and testing of this product needs to be variety specific. You know. So this concludes our stripping, post-cure hemp harvest report, and good luck.